Heute im Interview ist Tim Keeley aus Florida. Tim ist Professor für internationales Management an der Kyushu Sangyu University in Japan. Er spricht Dutzende Sprachen fließend und versteht über 40 weitere Sprachen. Wie das genau funktioniert, erzählt uns Tim gleich. Er hat in vielen Ländern der Welt gelebt und sich aufgehalten, wo er eine Sprache nach der anderen gelernt hat. Angefangen hat er in Kolumbien, als er 18 Jahre alt war, und nun wohnt er viele Jahre später in Japan. Und er hat insgesamt über 40 Jahre im Ausland verbracht. Herzlich willkommen, Tim. Ich bin froh, dass du teilnehmen kannst.
Ja, danke, ich auch.
Zunächst einmal fangen wir an. Du hast eine sehr interessante Geschichte, was Sprachen angeht. Das war schwer, dich auf eine Nummer festzulegen. Und erzähl uns einfach mal, wie viele Sprachen, wie ist der Hintergrund dazu und wie hast du Deutsch gelernt?
Okay, ja, zuerst ich habe in Kolumbien Deutsch studiert, in der Goethe-Institut. Ich habe ein bisschen Deutsch gelernt, aber das war ungefähr 41 Jahren vor, ja. Und nachher habe ich selbst gelernt. Äh, in Kolumbien habe ich auch Französisch und Portugiesisch auch studiert. Ich meine, ich habe Deutsch, Französisch und Portugiesisch auf Spanisch zuerst studiert und das war die Anfang meines Polyglottes-Lebens. Und nachher, ich war in Brasilien und ich habe überall in Südamerika gereist und am nächsten ich habe in der Schweiz studiert. Ich habe auch Französisch studiert in Genf. Aber habe ich auch ein bisschen Deutsch im Fernsehen gekocht und ich war ein bisschen in die deutsche Tal in Zürich und ich habe ein bisschen Schweizerdeutsch gelernt, aber ich kann es nicht gut sprechen. Ich kann es verschiedene Sachen sagen, aber ich lese es. Und nachher, ich habe viel in Europa gereist und Deutsch überall. Ich war in Deutschland überall vielleicht ungefähr 3 Monate in alles mein Leben, ja. Okay. Und das am meisten war in ungefähr 40 Jahren vor, aber nachher in die letzten Zeit, ich war in Berlin für die Polyglot Gathering, ja, ein paar Wochen. Und nachher, ich war in Polen 2 Jahre. Ich habe slawische Literatur studiert, am meisten natürlich Polnisch und auch Russisch und Kroatisch. Vorher, ich meine, wenn ich in der Schweiz war, im Sommer habe ich in Jugoslawien ungefähr 2 Monate, fast 3 Monaten gereist mit Fahrrad und ich habe Serbokroatisch gelernt und auch ein bisschen Slowenisch. Und nachher in Asien. Ich wohne hier in Japan schon ungefähr 36 Jahre. Und in diesem Zeit, ich habe ein paar noch europäische Sprachen gelernt, also zum Beispiel Griechisch und Afrikaans. Ja, Afrikaans ist natürlich von Afrika, Südafrika, aber der kommt von Holländisch, ja. Und die asiatische Sprache, ich habe hier in Japan chinesische Literatur studiert. Das meine, wenn ich hier gekommen bin, ich habe Japanisch und Chinesisch zusammen gelernt. Und das gut für Schreiben zu lernen. Und auch, ich habe Koreanisch, Thai, ich war in Thailand wie ein Professor, jedes Jahr ungefähr 2 oder 3 Monaten. Ich war in Chulalongkorn Universität. Ich habe ungefähr zusammen 10 Jahre, 3 Monate, ungefähr 3 Jahre zusammen, ja. Aber ich meine, jedes Jahr 2 oder 3 Monate. Ja, und ich habe ein Buch auf Thailändisch geschrieben. über Japaner Firma in Japan, in Thailand.
Mhm.
Und da habe ich auch Indonesian Malay gelernt und Lao und in den letzten 3, 4 Jahren studiere ich viel
Mhm.
Nepalisch, sag mal auf Deutsch, Nepali,
Nepalisch, ja, ich glaube Nepalisch.
okay, Nepalisch und tibetische Gurung, tibetisch Tamang, Sherpa. Die Sprache gibt ungefähr 130 Sprachen in Nepal.
Mhm.
Äh, aber am meisten ich benutze ja, Nepalisch und Tamang. Und die letzte Monate, wir waren in Langtang. Wir waren 10 Tage auf dem Weg, Trekking.
Mhm.
Und ich habe Tamang und Tibetisch gesprochen.
Mhm.
Ja, gibt es vielleicht eine andere Sprache, aber jetzt, jetzt kann ich nicht mehr erinnern.
Also so
Ja,
viele Sprachen, das. Hm?
ich habe fast alle die europäische Sprache. Ja, ich war in Italien und so weiter, kann ich
Mhm.
Italienisch und
Mhm.
so weiter. Ja, ich kann fast alle die europäische Sprache sprechen, gut sprechen, aber am meisten verstehen.
Mhm.
Und ja, die asiatische Sprache ungefähr ja, äh, 11 oder 12 Sprachen.
Mhm. Okay, also so ziemlich alle Sprachen der Welt hast du gelernt oder sprichst du.
Nein, so, viel mehr, ja, ja. Am meisten, ich habe mehr auf Japanisch gesprochen mehr auf Japanisch als Englisch gesprochen.
Mhm. Okay. Und
Ich habe
wenn.
mehr Spanisch benutzt. Ich meine,
Und.
ich denke, wenn ich allein bin, ich denke auf Englisch.
Mhm.
Aber äh, so, ich habe von 40 Jahren Ausland, ich bin schon 40 Jahre im Ausland, so habe ich nicht so viel Englisch gesprochen in diesem
Mhm.
Zeit, ja.
Ja.
Und dann, ich unterrichte auf Japanisch und auch Chinesisch und Thai und so weiter. Aber am meisten auf Japanisch. Ich glaube, ich habe mehr Japanisch als Englisch gesprochen in meinem Leben.
Bemerkenswert. Und wie ist dein Japanisch? Also sprichst du es akzentfrei oder hört
Ja,
man.
das kommt auf den Moment, wenn ich will das tun. Ich glaube, ich kann, ja.
Mhm. Okay.
Ja, normalerweise, ja, man sagt, ja, oh, it's natural. Ja.
Mhm.
Und ja, ja, akzentfrei. Ja, kein Ausländer-Akzent. Ja, ich kann
Mhm.
auch hier, ich meine, äh, wie sagt man, die Dialekt wo ich wohne, ja,
Mhm.
ist Kataben, Itoshima-Ben. Und das ist auch ein Akzent, aber normalerweise ich benutze die normale gemeinsame Akzent in
Okay.
Japan.
Sehr
Ja.
beeindruckend. Und jetzt bist du besonders bekannt für ein Thema, und zwar das Sprachenlernen im Alter. Also es gibt ja diese These, dass Sprachenlernen im Alter nicht so gut funktioniert oder schlechter funktioniert. Und du hast jetzt Erfahrungen seit über 40 Jahren, was Sprachenlernen angeht. Und was sagt deine Erfahrung zu diesem Thema?
Aber was meinst du? Du meinst, dass ja, gibt man sagt, dass man muss durch die Kinderzeit Sprachen zu lernen, oder?
Genau, also die Grundfrage ist natürlich ja, aber wie stehst du zu dem Thema, ist Sprachenlernen im Alter auch möglich oder deutlich schwieriger? Ist es zum Beispiel,
Aber was bedeutet du alt? Alter, was bedeutet das? Wie
also
alt?
ist es mit 30 schwieriger als mit 20, ist es mit 40 schwieriger als mit 30, ist es mit 60 schwieriger als mit 15?
Ja, ja, okay, ja, ja. Für mich ist, ja, ich kann äh, jetzt, ich bin 61 Jahre alt, ja.
Mhm.
Und in Amerika, ich habe Spanisch gelernt und ich habe Spanisch benutzt, weil in Florida.
Mhm.
Und wenn ich 18 Jahre alt war, ich könnte Spanisch sprechen, aber nur Spanisch und Englisch, ja.
Mhm.
Und alle ist noch 18 Jahre. Die Sprache, dass ich sprechen kann, ich habe äh, nachher gelernt, ja.
Mhm.
Und ich finde, dass ich lerne schneller jetzt als ich in die 20., 30., 40., 50. Jahre, ja.
Mhm.
Immer besser.
Mhm. Und wie hat sich das sonst verändert für dich, das Sprachenlernen? Also du bist besser geworden, weil du viel Erfahrung hast, aber hat trotzdem Alter irgendeinen Einfluss gehabt auf das Sprachenlernen?
Ich habe es nicht so gut verstanden. Was fragst du?
Also du sagst jetzt, dass es immer besser geworden ist. Also je älter du
Ja,
geworden bist, desto besser
ja.
konntest du lernen. Aber hatte auch Alter einen anderen Effekt? Also dass du besser wurdest, hat ja mit Erfahrung zu tun, weil du so viele Sprachen gelernt hast.
Ja, mit der Erfahrung. Ja,
Aber
ja,
hat,
natürlich
genau,
Erfahrung.
aber
Ja,
hatte,
ohne die Erfahrung dann ich glaube, ist schwerer, ja, Sprache zu lernen, ja.
mhm,
Ich meine, äh, gibt ein anderer Mann, die äh, 50 oder 60 Jahre alt ist
mhm,
und hat gar nicht keine andere Sprache kennengelernt, dann ist ja schwer, sehr
mhm,
schwer. Aber ich habe immer neue Sprache studiert
mhm.
und benutzt.
Mhm. Aber hatte Alter auch bei dir irgendeinen Einfluss? Also, dass dir Sachen schlechter merken konntest oder gab es irgendeinen Einfluss von Alter für dich beim Sprachenlernen?
Hm, was meinst du, dieser Einfluss von anderer Sprache oder
Nee, also wurde es, also es wurde einfacher, die Sprachen zu lernen, weil du mehr Erfahrung bekommen hast. Aber
ja,
hatte,
ja.
hatte das Alter einen Impact, also auf das Sprachenlernen? Also hast du auch andere Sachen gemerkt, die dir schwieriger fallen, weil du älter geworden bist?
Oh ja, ja. Puh, schwer zu sagen. Ah, ja, das ist sehr schwer zu antworten, weil ich habe immer
Mhm.
ja, ich habe eine andere Sprache gelernt und eine andere Sprache benutzt. Dann, ich habe gemerkt, dass es kommt schneller, wie sagt man, die Cognate Languages, wie sagt man auf Deutsch? Similar Languages.
In dieselbe Sprachgruppe, Sprachen aus
Ja,
derselben Sprachgruppe.
ja. Jetzt kenne ich so viel Sprachgruppe, ja,
Mhm.
und so viel verschiedene Grammatik und so weiter. Dann, ich glaube, das hilft mir,
Okay.
ja.
Und gibt es bestimmte Empfehlungen, die du Älteren, also hast du dieselbe Methode beibehalten während der ganzen Zeit oder bist du auf andere Methoden übergegangen, als du älter wurdest? Wie lief es da bei dir?
Nein, Methoden, ja, immer, ich habe zuerst ein Buch gekauft, zum Beispiel äh, dieser Kolloquium Slowak und so
Mhm.
weiter, ja, wir haben CD oder MP3-File,
Mhm.
ja. Zuerst wie sagt man, die LP, Longplay oder Kassettetapen und so weiter.
Ka
Ungefähr
Kassettenspieler?
50 Jahre vor, ja, es war
Mhm.
und immer habe ich zum Anfang, ich benutze, ich studiere nur selbst, ja, und
Mhm.
manchmal, ich habe in der Goethe-Institut von Alliance Française, Instituto Brasileiro de Cultura studiert, aber ich lerne besser selbst, ja, und dann
Mhm.
nachher mit Leute sprechen, ja.
Mhm.
Erfahrung ist sehr wichtig, ja.
Mhm. Und
Also,
ich weiß jetzt nicht, ob du dadurch, dass du immer Sprachen gelernt hast, ob du dazu jetzt was sagen kannst, aber gibt es vielleicht bestimmte Ratschläge oder Tipps, die du Älteren geben würdest, aber nicht Jüngeren? Oder würdest du allen Altersgruppen dasselbe sagen, was zum Thema Sprachenlernen?
Ich glaube, selber.
Dasselbe?
Ja, ich glaube, ja, ja, aber das kommt aus, I'm just going to say it in English
Mhm.
quickly
Ja.
because I'm kind of trying to think in German is not so easy. Es ist nicht
Mhm.
so ist einfach, ja.
Mhm.
Um, so it depends on whether somebody has continuously learned foreign languages or is just starting off. In that case, my advice would be different according to the age group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sagen wir Leute, die anfangen, also die 60 sind und die erste Fremdsprache, in der Schule ein bisschen Fremdsprachen gehabt haben, aber nie wirklich es geschafft haben, die Sprache zu lernen.
Das ist schwer, ich glaube. Sehr schwer.
Okay,
Weil, okay, I'm going to drop back in English again so I can
okay.
do better with it. Because I think the biggest issue is the most difficult language is your first foreign language.
Mhm.
When you actually use the language, if you're talking about, just studying in class and taking tests and things like that, then yeah, okay, that's not such a challenge. The challenge is when you live the language. You're, living in a country where the language is spoken, and you have to use it every day for, all to meet all your needs, etc.
Mhm.
And then, of course, if you want to speak like a native speaker, if you want to pick up the same prosody and accent and reactions, etc., ja, dann das wird schwer. Wenn man 50 oder 60 Jahre alt und hat das nicht getan, ja. So, you see what I'm saying? So it depends. Once you've learned your first foreign language and you've gone through a transformation, basically, eine neue Identität, ja, eine
Mhm.
neue
Mhm.
Identität gebildet,
Mhm.
ja.
Okay.
Das ist schwer, ja.
Also ich verstehe, dass es schwer ist, dann akzentfrei zu sprechen und perfekt oder auf muttersprachlichem Niveau sehr gut zu sprechen. Aber nehmen wir an, jemand möchte für die Rente nach Spanien auswandern, weil Deutschland ist kalt oder nach Lateinamerika und den Fall, den gibt es ja in Deutschland oft. Und die möchten jetzt Spanisch lernen, aber die möchten das nicht super gut sprechen. Die möchten einfach die Möglichkeit haben, sich mit den Einwohnern zu unterhalten, ohne Probleme.
Ja, das ist nicht so schwer, ich glaube. Ja,
Mhm.
man muss studieren, ja. Man
Mhm.
muss, man muss, jeden Tag,
Mhm.
zum Beispiel 30 Minuten, eine Stunde, 2 Stunden studieren, ja.
Mhm.
Und nachher in Spanien oder in Südamerika, man muss mit den Leuten sprechen und
Mhm.
so weiter. Das ist einfach, das ist nicht so schwer. Aber
Mhm.
was viel schwer ist, wenn man ziemlich gut sprechen will, ja. Und
Mhm.
more like a native accent,
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, what's a little bit difficult for me, there's a big difference in the way, for example, I'm speaking German now, than if I were in Germany for 2 or 3 weeks or
Mhm.
1 month, and then I start to although, as I said, I've only been in Germany for about maybe 3 months or so in my whole life, But it was very meaningful 3 months, and even though most of it was 40 years ago, um, it was meaningful for me, and so if I can get back into that mindset, then I will do much better in terms of the way I sound in German, and also not make so many mistakes, grammatical mistakes. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Ja,
But ich meine, wenn ich habe Deutsch gelernt, ich habe schon die Erfahrung, eine mit anderen Sprachen, eine
mhm.
neue kulturisch und wie sagt man, eine neue Identität, ja,
Mhm.
Identität. How would you say culture and linguistic identity? Wie sagt man?
Kulturelle und
Hallo und
sprachliche Identität oder
oder
linguistische
ich
Identität?
meine auch Kultur, nee, Culture Identity. Äh,
Kulturelle Identität?
ja, okay, ja, kulturelle Identität und die sprachliche Identität, yeah. But this is because this is the main point. I mean, if we're going to talk about um, age in the case of in terms of difficulty. So is it harder to learn a language at a certain age? Well, mainly the issue is with really creating this new cultural and linguistic identity, where you feel the language, can become yours.
Mm-hmm.
You can become part of the community, and you can change the way that you sound.
Mm-hmm.
You can get closer to a native like accent, etc. It becomes more difficult with age usually because people's identity becomes more fixed. That's the problem.
Okay.
So maybe that's what you were thinking about in that sense. So
Yeah.
if somebody is 50 or 60 years old and, they've spoken one language, they may have studied, a number of languages in school, but they really never used them and
Mm.
didn't have conversations in the language, then, I think it's quite difficult to overcome that barrier.
Okay.
But on the other hand, you can find children who maybe grew up with two or three or four languages,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean that later they can easily. Let's say they're from Europe and they speak, mother tongue maybe German and they speak French and
Mm.
English, let's say, and it doesn't mean like when they go to a very different language like Chinese or Vietnamese or Japanese,
Mm-hmm.
that they'll be able to, get the sounds right,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because, it's especially when you get to Asian, ja, die Aussprache, die Chinesisch und Thai und Vietnamese. Ich finde Vietnamese, das war sehr schwer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Die Aussprache und die Tonen und so weiter, ja.
Mm-hmm.
Aber ja, die erste Mal, ich habe Vietnamese gehört in Pimsleur, es war Sing Loi, and what was it saying? Ja, em có khỏe không? Em có khỏe không? So what was that? Sing Loi, em có khỏe không?
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while to that seem naturally to me, the tones and such, right?
Okay. Ich spreche weiter Deutsch. Also wenn du auf Englisch wechseln willst, sagst du Bescheid,
Ja.
ne?
Ja, entschuldigen Sie, ja, es ist gut, weil ich kann auch auf Englisch, ja. Es geht.
Wenn du dich auf Englisch wohler fühlst, dann können wir auf Englisch wechseln.
Okay, yeah, auf English is better for me.
Okay, then let's switch to English. All right, so you mentioned this cultural identity issue, and that's a very interesting one. I think I've had a concept of that, but really like fluid. I never thought about it as like this term, cultural identity. And so, how do you think you can build a cultural identity in young age or older age?
Well, it's mainly, first of all, identifying with the people of the target language,
Mm-hmm.
target. Okay, so let's say you come to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
all right? So it's mainly a process of starting to imitate the way people speak more naturally.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. So you need the physical part. You actually need to. It's greatly facilitated if you use the body language, the same body language,
Mm-hmm.
and like in Europe, you can see many different types of body language between, like a German and Italian is great difference.
Yeah, it's true.
So for if you learn as a German, if you learn Italian, and you still use the body language and the feeling of a German, then it's going to really come out. Even if your pronunciation is correct, you probably won't pick up the same prosody. And
Mm-hmm.
even if somehow you're able to, your pronunciation and you understand what I mean by prosody, the melody, the way that you
Yeah.
speak. Okay, so if your accent and prosody is close to a native Italian speaker, but your body language is German,
Hmm.
there's going to be a feeling created. Something's amiss, you know. It's
Yeah.
not
But
totally natural.
like, I feel like that's a really high level issue. Like, I think most language learners don't worry about this and don't really need to worry about this. Like, to get to this level, like, you need quite a while, like, before even having a good, like, near perfect pronunciation. And like, I think those are like high level issues. So more about the low level issues, because you say that in order to learn languages effectively, you need this cultural identity of maybe the
No,
country.
no, no, no,
No.
no, no, no. No. Well, what you're saying is what you said there. Yeah, it's a high level issue. In a sense, yes, it is a high level issue.
Hmm.
So if you're just saying, okay, what advice do you have somebody who just wants to learn to communicate the language? They don't care if they, can speak in a very noticeable foreign accent,
Hmm.
etc. Then, yeah, I mean, it's not what I'm talking about. Though I must say, if you have the habit of striving for that, in other words, trying to pass as a native speaker, okay, you can play a little game, I always play it throughout the years as I was traveling. So, it's always it's a momentary ability. It doesn't mean you can do it all the time.
Hmm.
It depends on the situation and your confidence.
Hmm.
So, like right now in this interview, I mean, as I had to think about various things, and I haven't, been speaking German very much over the
Hmm.
past 40 years, it's difficult for me to think because, if, wenn du mit mir auf Deutsch sprichst, dann ich denke auf Deutsch, ja.
Hmm.
Das ist sehr für mich, auf Englisch denken und nachher auf Deutsch zu sagen, weil
Hmm.
I don't translate in my mind
Hmm.
so often, so just sometimes when I don't understand, that makes it difficult, okay? So, even if you have this habit of trying to like pass as a native speaker, then you really pay attention
Hmm.
to the way people pronounce things and and their prosody, the melody of the language and their body language, etc.
Hmm.
And I think you'll find that by doing this, even as a beginner, it helps.
Okay.
It's a first step. You mean because your original question that I'm still addressing now is, yeah, well, what do you do to create this new linguistic and cultural, identity?
Hmm.
Well, part of the mechanics of it, what you actually intentionally do would be that kind of imitation. Now, see, when I use the words imitation and mimic, and no, I hope people don't bring with them the negative connotation it
Yeah.
has. Some,
Hmm.
obviously not. I like to be original. Look, if you're original in the way you speak, nobody's going to understand you.
Hmm.
Now, communication is through we're following a pattern. Okay, that pattern means like grammar and words and
Hmm.
the way you pronounce it. If you pronounce it incorrectly, people are not going to. If it's really off, are not going to understand. And
Hmm.
this is you become really aware of this when you get to languages families outside of Europe. For your European listeners.
Hmm.
So maybe it's okay between German and Dutch and English and somewhat in French and Spanish and okay, So oh yeah, the German accent in French or a French accent in English, etc. But when you get to languages which have tones,
Hmm.
uh, have totally different, have some very different phonetic elements. The difference between um, like uh, ta ta ta, and these are all very separate. But for example, one time in Thailand, I said "tang pratet," and the person didn't understand me. I said what? I said "tang pratet." They didn't understand me, and then I realized, oh, "tang pratet." They understood.
Okay.
Tang. Okay, so to me, to you, right?
Hmm.
Wait, the last part all sounds the same, but the
Hmm.
first part, ta ta,
Hmm.
tang pratet, tang pratet.
Okay.
Hang Dang So just getting these little things in the rhythm of speech, some people I I generally have not too much difficulty understanding various, foreign accents and languages because of the experience I've had.
Hmm.
But some local people, who are monolingual they won't,
Hmm.
follow you. Okay, so as a beginner, if you pay close attention to pronunciation and prosody and, way people express themselves, the body language, the facial movements, etc., it helps in, learning how to speak more like a native speaker quicker.
Hmm.
Okay, so somebody has the attitude, no, look, if I learn the vocabulary and I got the grammar more or less correct and people understand me, I'm fine. Okay, all right, good,
Hmm.
go ahead.
Great.
But, you're going to understand better and you're going to create, uh, it's going to be more of a challenge if you start to try to imitate and mimic in the good sense.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, that's, we our whole lives, we've done that, from the day you're born, not just with language, but for everything, the way you walk, the way a woman walks, the way a man walks,
Hmm.
it's different, not just because of anatomy, but because they're learning, they're mimicking,
Hmm.
differently. Okay.
Okay,
So,
so this actually brings me to a few questions. And the first one being, I feel like you distinguished between learning a language to be able to speak and learning a language to be able to feel or try to be a native speaker. So, like you said, the one is learning vocabulary, a little bit of grammar, and so that you can actually be able to communicate. And the other one is like mimicking and stuff. So, do you think like those are two fundamentally different approaches to language learning, and or is
mhm.
no? So,
Well,
like how?
okay, yes and no, yes
Mhm.
and no. Yeah, they're fundamentally different in the sense that um, the you're paying more attention to pronunciation, the way people speak, etc., and you're trying to do the same in one case. In the other case, you're not worrying about that.
Mhm.
Okay, and then in some cases that's fine, but it depends on what language it is, and it depends which language you're coming from.
Mhm.
Okay, I can give you a good example comparing English with Japanese. So there are people who study Japanese, English speakers, okay, who don't give up the complex phonetic vowel system that we have in English, okay?
Mhm.
And because actually, depending on which dialect you speak, but in general, you could say that American English and British English, basically they distinguish between 26 vowel sounds.
Mhm.
We only write five,
Mhm.
okay? So the obvious ones would be the difference between like Pope and Pop. The O becomes an ah, etc. Vowel reduction. Okay.
Mhm.
Most European languages don't have that. Russian does.
Mhm.
Okay. And in German you have it, but you mark it. Okay, so it's understood.
Yeah.
Different. We have a different symbol for it. But
Mhm.
in the English, we don't mark it. All
Mhm.
right. So okay. So English speakers, they have the way the even though they implicitly understand that if you have a consonant, vowel, consonant, the vowel in the middle is reduced.
Mhm.
Okay, so as I just said, between Pope and Pop, it's reduced because it doesn't have a vowel after it. And the rules get more complicated, et cetera, et cetera. So
Mhm.
they look at Japanese, and if they're learning Japanese with Roman alphabet, and so they'll look at the name Tanaka and say Tanaka. Tanaka. Now, all those are just in
Mhm.
Japanese, because Japanese only has five vowel sounds plus
Okay.
elongated.
Mhm.
Okay. Now
They're all what?
they have five vowel sounds,
Mhm.
just like the main
Yeah.
five that you have in German. So I, e, u,
Mhm.
o. The
Mhm.
orders will be different. Okay. Kaki, ke, ko, u. Okay. So they have the five vowel sounds plus elongated. In other words, you have a long O and a long U.
Mhm.
For example, you have Jose and Jose, Jo. Okay,
Mhm.
that's all they have. So So let's say that somebody, oh, I don't care if I, sound like a Japanese native, I'm just learning Japanese this way. So they'll say Tanaka.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to understand that. Or they'll say, like when they say karate. You know what karate is?
Yeah.
Karate. You know
Karate.
karate? Yeah.
I mean, I know
Okay.
the sport. I didn't do it.
But 日本語できます? Do you speak Japanese?
No.
Yeah, your pronunciation was correct.
Karate? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kara,
I
karate.
just, that's just because you said that all of them have to be the same. So I just
But
tried my shot.
how would you say it in German, for example?
Karate?
Okay. All right. So you do pronounce somewhat different. Okay. So yeah. So people would say karate and Japanese won't understand.
Yeah.
So you say karaoke, they don't have no idea what you're talking about. It's
Hmm.
karaoke, So kimono, kimono,
Hmm.
the way that they pronounce it. Okay. So they have no idea what you're saying.
But like
And
those are mostly issues for Asian languages, right? Like if you stick to European, that won't be as much of an issue, right?
yeah, it won't be as much an issue because yeah, their phonetic systems are similar.
Hmm.
Um, Japanese doesn't have any tones. Korean doesn't have any tones, but yeah, it's not even deal with tones in this case. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well,
Because
let's get back. Your fundamental question there was: is this two different approaches to learning languages?
Mhm,
Your goal is set to sound like a native speaker. Get
mhm,
past for a native speaker goal compared to I just want to communicate goal.
mhm.
Are they fundamentally different? I think. Well, yeah, in attitude they are, and I think you'll make a lot more progress if your goal is to try to imitate the way that the natives speak. And there's so
Mhm.
many different ways. Obviously, there's so many dialects. So, for example, when I was learning German, I was also experimenting in different places. Like if I was in Munich, I would say Igehausen. Ige. I would say Ischgea. Yeah, Ige. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say kenne ich dich, I would say kenne ich die,
Yeah.
kenne ich,
I'm from
you
the
know,
northern Germany, so
oh, okay.
yeah.
But anyway, I try to, imitate that and learn that, okay? So this is, from my standpoint, is something that when I went to Colombia, I really wanted to like fit in and you know, just make it seem natural that I was there, and
Hmm.
not always foreign. I was going to university there. So
Yeah.
basically, I tried
Did
to sound like
Did you
other Colombians
succeed?
around.
Did you succeed? Did
Yeah.
you pass off as Colombian?
The trouble is times there's not so many people who look like me in Colombia.
Hmm.
I mean, there are people who you can't tell. I'm 1 meter 91,
Oh
and
wow.
the Colombians too. My hair was blonder back then.
Hmm.
Like, I was 18 years old, and so no, I looked like a gringo, really.
Okay.
I had a gringo look to my face. Okay,
Okay.
so um, yeah, no, I could pass at times, and most, and as again at times when I say goal is to like pass as a native speaker, I'm fine if I don't reach it all the time, and it's just fun to see sometimes if I can do it. You
Hmm.
know, in the interaction, people don't start wondering, oh, are you
Hmm.
not from here type thing. It's
Okay.
it's just for me, it's always been a fun goal.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
and I've read many different blogs, etc., and I know other people who have also played this game
Yeah, I love
of
that as well. Like
yeah. Yeah.
and
Well, I would say, for example, if I started talking to you now and I didn't know you, let's say we met in Nepal and we were trekking, I wouldn't say you were German right off, which is quite an achievement when you're speaking English.
yeah,
You know?
I actually share that goal. Like I like to pass off as a native, and
Mm.
sometimes I can fool Americans.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, no, I can see it. And the fact that it is a goal, hasn't that made it easier for you to learn? You think?
I don't think it becomes a goal right off the bat. Like I think it
No, no.
becomes a goal later.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, of course. Yeah, well, see, it depends who we're speaking to, what audience are we speaking. I don't think we're speaking to many people who haven't already studied a number of languages,
No,
or
most people are learning the first or maybe the
okay,
second language. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So yeah,
So
of course, it's right when you start off.
yeah. So that brings me to the question. Those are very valid and interesting points, and I agree that that's important. And I also think it's better to approach the whole language learning thing with maybe not I want to pass as a native, but I want to be like a native. But I think for language learners that start off, they have lots of things to focus upon, and like so they have to focus on vocabulary, grammar, speaking, like a million things. Like you know how to go about when learning a language because you've done it so many times, and
Yeah.
I know as well how to proceed when I want to learn a new language. But I think somebody who starts with language, this this will come off like this will be they were like, oh, and I have to focus on that as well. Like they just
No,
get
no,
confused and they just stop in total. So
no, no.
like,
I think we shouldn't look at it that way, or they should. Somebody listening to our conversation now, this discussion, shouldn't take it as, oh, it's something I have to do.
mhm,
You know, rather, just start to get an understanding that, hey, I should, if I pay attention to the way people are speaking, the
mhm,
pronunciation and the prosody and their body language, and then I start to imitate it. Oh, maybe they're probably going to find this easier. If you look at small children, well, often people say, "Oh, yeah, it's much easier to learn language when you're young and such." So you look at a 6 year or 7 year old interacting in a new language, new culture, they naturally imitate.
yeah,
Okay, so,
yeah, of
yeah,
course,
because they don't have made the same hang-ups and such,
mhm,
about, oh, what do I sound like, or this is so different and such. So if you want, I've written about a lot. I've written a lot about the age factor in language acquisition, and all the arguments that it's easier to learn it when you're younger.
mhm,
I only agree in the sense that, yeah, but it's not something. It's a psychological, social, attitudinal issue. It's not a developmental issue. It's not like something physically in your body at that time. And that, often when you take a look at the brain and see how it develops, say at that time, okay, that's really, the time where it's the easiest. And this is a long discussion, about the uh, about what happens in the brain to over the years and language acquisition, etc. But I've come to the conclusion that the majority of the issue is your attitude,
mhm,
also your personality traits in terms of whether you're flexible in terms of fitting in with new people and new comes up with new experiences and becoming somebody else or something. It's the same like if you go to acting,
mhm,
like who are good actors. Those are people who like to become somebody else because they say, okay,
mhm.
yeah, life is a stage, and well, so basically people who monolinguals who only have one way of generally speaking, though their accent does change over the years depending on where they move to. Basically, they're only playing one linguistic cultural role in life.
Mhm.
Play many more. So maybe it's easier to learn these roles when you're a child because you're more lighthearted
Mhm.
in that sense, willing to take on the different roles, and also you haven't had all this history of playing one role, and
Mhm.
it's hard to break out of it. I mean, I find it, as I say, I find it easier. For example, German. If we were to have this interview after 2 or 3 weeks in Germany, it would be much easier for me to do it in German because I would be back into that feeling.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's not so easy to jump from one to the other.
Yeah. So
But
what?
it's
Oh,
all
sorry.
developed to have that. Yeah.
Mhm. So basically, what you're saying is it doesn't get more difficult to learn a new language with age, but it's rather a construct in your mind, its character, because you lived most of your life as monolingual. So it's hard to accept that new identity. And that's actually what's impeding your process and not the fact that you're just older. Is it?
Um, yeah. But we're simplifying it down now. What's again, as you said before, we're talking about high
Hmm.
level in the sense that um, of you know getting closer to a native speaker in terms of the way you communicate with everything, prosody, pronunciation, and body language. Yeah, okay. Um, Now, if during the if you're 60 years old and in the past, let's say 40 years, not only did you never study a foreign language, but you really haven't used your brain a lot,
Yeah. Okay. That makes
then
sense.
you're going to have some great difficulties. Okay,
So you think
you know,
if you, sorry.
yeah.
So you
Well,
think,
I think with my last statement there, right? I
okay.
mean, we could look at studies, et cetera, and obviously the more it's like the old adage, the more you use, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it
Okay.
gets, type things. Well, the more you use your brain, the healthier it is, the more flexible it is, et cetera. So
So it's two things. One is character, because or the character you see in yourself, and it has formed so much because you've been this character for so long. And the second one is not the age of your brain, but rather because you haven't used it that much in the past year. Because like when you're younger, you're in education all the time. So it's
yeah,
also it has also to do with the fact that you're just not used to using your brain a lot, or
right.
for
There could
new
be many.
things,
Yeah,
to new
yeah,
learn new.
but there could be many other factors which. Not necessarily related to age, but could be. In other words, your likes and dislikes.
Hmm.
So generally, if you look at people, people's likes get stronger and dislikes get stronger as they get older.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
yeah, they're not experimental as not as much, etc. Okay, so yeah, there's again, but I would classify all these things under psychological traits
Hmm.
and attitudinal traits.
Okay.
Okay, so your attitudes
Yeah.
and
So
you
like,
basically, yeah.
so
Are you
the
are you
first
open to
thing.
new experiences or closed, etc.?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So like character, as in the way your character formed.
right, right. Okay,
So
so then you also have, as you say, using your brain,
yeah.
over the years. Yeah, the more you. So let's say that if I don't know, maybe if somebody has really been engaged in some tasks that really challenge, us mentally over all throughout their life,
Hmm.
I would say that probably would assist them in learning a new language, just
Okay.
in terms of the grammar. Remember the grammar and vocabulary, retention and short-term memory, and all those areas. They probably maintain it or increase their ability in those areas.
Hmm.
So the age of your brain, the age of your body. It's not just a chronological thing. It's also have you used it.
Hmm.
Uh, for example, I've always been very active my whole life, and so I go to the gym at least 5 days a week, and so I have my yoga and weightlifting, and then 1 hour on a step machine. So I
Hmm.
do a 1,200 calories within 1 hour,
Hmm.
and the trainers who are in their 20s can't do that, and 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 then because I go trekking in the Himalayas, crossing 5,000 meter passes and such, I have no problem.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, so it's just your lifestyle, your brain, your body. Also, obviously, your physical fitness greatly increases your ability to use your mental powers,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
So let's translate that into advice, and I want to tell you what I think somebody should do, and you tell me whether I understood correctly. So
Right.
you want to be able to open up your character, so you have to be more open to the fact that you can learn a language, be more open to the fact that languages are good, and like trying to forget about your past experiences, your bad experiences. Just I mean, this is not really concrete, but like maybe just have an open mindedness about language learning when you learn your first language when you're older. So that would be the first boiled down tip, right?
Okay.
Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Have an open mind. Okay.
Okay, and the
Yeah.
second one would be physical and mental fitness. So do sports, do tasks that involve that you need your head for, like maybe math or whatever, and that would also help you with learning a language.
Maybe, but you might as well if your goal is to learn a language and you want to do mental tasks, well, spend it on learning the language.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
if you're,
stay mentally fit. Yeah, just don't sit back and watch soap operas all day, and
yeah, of course.
that's right. Yeah,
But I mean, even for people that,
language, then it's okay.
sorry?
If the soap opera or the TV
Yeah.
isn't a, say it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I haven't thought about it this way, but this makes a lot of sense. And this actually, the way you described it, I thought about Luca Lampariello, who I interviewed, who said that what he does is he pretends to be whatever nationality whose accent he wants to learn. So if he wants to if he wants to speak English like a U.S. American, he pretends that he's an American, and
That's
just the thought of this is what gives him the capability to do his accent better and maybe speak better, like role playing, like the way you said it.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is what we were talking about before, playing the passes the native speaker game.
Hmm.
So in
Yeah.
order to do that, so he when he said, yeah, just the thought of that, behind all that means, yes, I'm paying attention to the way people pronounce things, the
Hmm.
melody, prosody, their body language, etc. Okay,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's all behind what his thought. Just you know. Thinking, okay, and yeah, I'm an American, so I want to sound like American. One of the tough things for me sometimes is sounding like an American. Yeah, no, on this interview, it's been pretty easy. Sometimes I lose it. If I'm around people speaking other English in different ways, then automatically, I start to drift, you know, that way. And I find it hard to get back to the accent, that I had when I was, well, semi-monolingual, let's
Hmm.
say up to age 18. Because over the years, it really affected my accent in English.
Yeah.
So like just like people go to India and sooner or later they're also doing they're getting the body language and they start to my accent can be affected immediately sometimes when I rent to a certain group if I'm not careful, if I'm not aware of it. Talk about it in English, my native tongue, and
Yeah.
actually that's the hardest for me. I think
That's
English
what?
more than it's the hardest for me to really sound like an American. Like, I mean, no doubt in anything. Often I get, when I'm not paying attention, and if back in America, people would say, like, where are you from in the sense of you're not from the United States.
Okay, that's
And it's
funny.
not necessarily the way I'm speaking to you right now, because I think that if I listen back to the way I sound right now, I think it sounds pretty American.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But yeah, because I'm sort of making an effort
Hmm.
right now. You
Okay. Yeah, I
know what
think
I'm saying?
I I can tell about similar experiences when I went to Colombia with my friend from Bavaria. After a month, I started to take over traits from his German, and he started to take over traits from my German, and I noticed that, and that was interesting. But
Yeah.
what's even more interesting is when you go into another language, and I feel like I have a different personality when I speak English because I've experienced life very differently when I was speaking English. So I feel like the impact of when I was speaking English had more, or when I was speaking English, my experiences had a much bigger impact into when I'm speaking English than my experiences when I was speaking German. So
Okay.
sorry?
Yeah, I was just going to say, excuse me for interrupting, but you were asking about cultural identity, and there it is right there.
Yeah, exactly. And, but
Because the reason why you feel like a different personality and such is because each language has these certain scripts. Scripts meaning how you should act.
Mhm.
Okay, it's how you should view things, how you should perceive, how you should interpret, how you should act. So if you feel
Yeah,
different when you speak a different language, you're in those scripts, and
yeah,
that is your developed cultural personality.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
And I feel that with English because when I'm speaking English, I'm more of an extrovert than when I'm speaking German because in the US, when I lived in the US, people are just more extrovert and
In general, yes.
yeah, so that
Freundlich.
happened to me as well.
Freundlich.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, I was watching Easy German to get my mind back in German, and so you know that program.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and they were talking. Some of their programs are about to find the one I saw was it's hard to make friends in Germany and such. And whether what do you think about Americans and this and that? And one girl says, okay, Americans are very open. It's at first very friendly, but later, she said shallow or something, whatever. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely agree with what you're saying. I mean, you're now pointing out all the things that you were asking about, and I was commenting on through your own experience, because you have developed a definite cultural identity to go along with your English, and that's what helps you to not sound like a German-speaking English.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you have the feeling, it's a certain feeling. Because it's so abstract, it's hard to really define it and say, okay, this is what happens. But, as Luca said, and, what I was saying before, is that basically, explicitly or at least implicitly, it becomes natural after a while. You are imitating, and because you're imitating, you're paying more attention to the way things are pronounced, and the sound of the language and their body movements and the way they communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely makes sense, and I guess that's the way to mastery of a language.
Yeah, and that's in mastery in the sense that you sound natural in the language. Yeah. I mean, there are people who just want to learn how to read and such and understand that way. It's a different goal. Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on the goals.
I think so. Getting back to the question about over the years, the ages, I think since at a young age, let's say when I first went abroad at 18 until now, so 40 something years of always doing this. So you kind of get better at it too. I haven't changed that much, but you kind of get better at that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is, compared to somebody who's never done it, if they're 60 years old, then, for all this we're talking about, wow, change, this is such a big change. I've always spoken like this. I've always felt this way. I've never tried, all those barriers there. Yeah. And then, of course, how to learn. So we've learned over the years how we learned a language personally, on a personal basis. Many people have methods that they teach or they sell. They have their kits and everything. And it's fine with me, but I have my own method.
Yeah.
And if you've never studied a foreign language, it may be useful to follow somebody's method for you. And then if it works, it works. Great. If it doesn't, then look for a different one. But I think it's important to develop your own way.
Yeah. And
I mean, I would get certain advice. Like I would say, never try to learn words in isolation. Mm-hmm. In other words, don't go through a word list. We one-to-one translation. Use sentences. Use paragraphs. Use context. Things like that. I think those are general smart advice. But all the other stuff, whether one it does better, through more listening or more reading and listening together. And all those combinations. That's a really personal thing.
Yeah, I spoke to many polyglots, and that's also the sentiment that I got, that everybody has their own method and they have to develop it. But I think there are similarities, especially one thing, which is application. Like whatever method you choose, you have to apply. Like if you want to get better at reading, that's what you got to do. If you want to get better at speaking, that's what you got to do. So like, I think that what combines all of it. And that's what I also see with language learners who learn their first language, that this is a concept easy to not to understand, but to hear, and everybody thinks they understand it, but they don't, because if people tell me, I want to speak better, and I've been reading and I've been learning words and I've been learning grammar, but I haven't been speaking, then they didn't understand, because when you want to speak better, that's what you got to do. Like you got to apply the language, otherwise you won't learn it.
And part of that is that process. That depends on under what conditions you are studying. Nowadays, of course, we can do as we're doing right here. We have Skype, etc., so we can have a language exchange and so on. But most of the time, spending learning a language is not in contact with somebody. I learn on my own, and I usually set a goal. For example, when I learned Greek and Afrikaans, I said I learned that after coming to Asia. It's because I was going to a conference there. And it wasn't the gathering it wasn't the gathering or the conference in Greece I was preparing for. It was a different academic conference, cross-cultural psychology, back in 2006. So I spent like 500 hours at least, maybe 500 to 700 hours over a period of about 6 to 8 months, studying Greek before I left. So I went through a number of different courses and such, and I reached advanced level. And according to the course book and some of my understanding, but I hadn't spoken to anybody. So I created a lot of dialogues in my head. I pretended I was speaking. I do it all the time. In preparation, I think what kind of conversation I had. And I think all polyglots do it. It's like, think about the most common, like 100 types of questions and phrases that you'll need, when you meet somebody. That gives you confidence. You learn to say it well, and they come back. And this is a very important part of getting good, because you have to create confidence in the other person. They're confident that you understand and that you can speak the language. Otherwise, they start, breaking up the way they speak. They start simplifying and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So this, if you want to speak, yes, you have to learn how to speak, but you can also do things like that. You can create these in your head. Do you have the same experience where you imagine conversations?
Yeah, how would I pretend or imagine having that conversation that I'm about to have. Like I'm preparing for it mentally, and that it's like preparing for a speech. Like you practice that speech, and the same thing for a conversation. You practice that conversation, and it may be completely different, but it gives you something to grasp on, and it gives you security.
Well, I think what it does is it takes away the tendency to use a part of your analytical part of your brain, which is looking at what is the grammar and this and that and how you perform. You get away from that because it's become automatic. If you practice a certain speech or a certain dialogue long enough, then you just say it just like that, and then you learn to say it, perhaps like a native speaker. So immediately, there's this good impression. And that first impression is quite important.
That's
I think.
true. Yeah. That's very true.
And then now you're more relaxed. You're more relaxed. I mean, so just like we're doing this interview today, we start off in German. As I said, the trouble I had was trying to think about your question in German wasn't easy for me. So immediately I started thinking about it in English, and then I had to go back to German in my head. Because, how am I going to explain this,
Yeah.
And a good part of it is, I haven't, used it in such a long while, so I don't have that confidence to do it. And that, that's very important. Right?
Yeah, of course.
But if I said to myself in any language which I know fairly well or can understand fairly well, I said, okay, I'm going to discuss, this subject. So then I learn all about that and, practice in my mind so I can explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I've been lecturing in Japanese now for 27 years. Okay. Do I speak like a native Japanese speaker? That depends, situation, etc. There are things that very common words that not so common, like I should say, words I don't usually use, but I just wouldn't have it tip my tongue. It might be a native speaker would know it. But there are a lot of words and terms I know in Japanese that many Japanese don't know. I'm explaining it to them. Okay, I'm not teaching language. I'm teaching content. Like I'm teaching management. So if I say like ringisho, ringise, my students, even if I write the characters, they don't understand the first character. The ring part. Usually, so I had to explain it to them. I had to explain to adults, So you prepare yourself for a certain, the domain that you're going to be working in.
Yeah. Relevancy.
And I guess another thing is for advices in languages. Practice for the domain that you'll be
Yeah.
using.
Yeah.
If you're traveling,
Absolutely.
practice it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Relevancy. It's again
If you want to talk
relevant
about
stuff.
philosophy, practice talking about philosophy, reading about philosophy in that
Yeah.
language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So because there are things I know in economics, etc. If I quote boy, some of my Japanese friends, they have no meaning. They don't understand. It's a discount rate.
Hmm.
It's what the central bank lends to commercial banks as a rate. Okay,
Hmm.
so but they don't know these terms, and but when over the 27 years now, I've always used them. So to me, I have this certain vocabulary and ability to express things in Japanese, which is beyond, let's say, the majority of the population who
Hmm.
haven't studied it, not in that
Yeah.
field.
Of course. Yeah.
So it becomes esoteric, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I can talk about everything. If I'm talking about gardening, maybe I don't know,
Yeah. Of
all the
course. Maybe not even in English.
yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, not even in your mother tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for over an hour. This was highly
Okay.
interesting. I feel like we can talk for many hours more, and there's hundreds of topics we can cover.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I've gone all over the place. I
No,
tend
it's
to do
okay. It's
everything.
we got a full view, so that was definitely interesting, and maybe some other time we can talk about other topics. Thank
Okay.
you so much for coming on. Sorry.
I just ask you one question?
Yep, sure.
Which languages have you studied?
I grew up bilingual, German, Russian, and
Mhm.
so those two: English, French, Spanish, and Hebrew. Those are my 6 languages.
Okay. So maybe we can get together. You can help me with Hebrew when I get around to working at it some more. Sababa.
Yeah, I haven't practiced Hebrew for almost a year now, so I feel like it's leaving me slowly. But so it's my goal, like starting within the next few weeks, to get it up to speed again, and then
Okay.
then I can definitely help you out, Sababa.
Okay. Okay.
Betach.
Tov meod.
Tell me out,
Okay.
Ken.
Yeah. Sorry, I broke it up. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish it
So
up.
just yeah. So thanks so much for coming on. Anything you would like to add?
Um, Well, I love talking about these things. I hope I didn't bore anybody, and
No,
excuse me for any mistakes I made in German.
no problem.
Sorry I couldn't finish the whole thing in German, but as I explained why.
Yeah.
And well, I hope you enjoy the program. If you would like to communicate with me, just contact me through Facebook or whatever. If you're a polyglot, you can find me in the community group.
I'll make sure to include the links so that people can find you.
Okay, you might want to include the link of my academic papers where I
Yeah.
discuss
Yeah.
academically about Asian language acquisition,
Yes.
etc.
Yep.
Okay,
That would be the first one.
yeah. Just one quick explanation, throw it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my background, PhD, is cross-cultural management. Okay,
Hmm.
but I studied a lot of linguistics, and so I combined the two because I focus on cultural adaptation.
Hmm.
International human resource management. So that's why my papers deal with, language. They deal with the language
Yeah.
side and cultural side.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting because you got the experience like many academics don't.
Yeah.
So
It makes a big difference. It's a big
yeah.
difference.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll definitely
Much.
include a link to that. And thanks so much for coming on.
Okay. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Tschüss.